Thank you for joining us again here at Get Ready News. I'm Mark Lindsted. This is my brother David Lindsted, and we like to cover the news from a biblical lens. And there's a lot of news this week.
A lot of crazy stuff going on. A lot of things that look like to me we're lining up with end times, and we're just steamrolling them straight ahead.
Yeah, it's amazing, and we're just shy of 3 weeks into the Trump administration, and there's a lot of news around that.
It amazes me all of the things that Trump has been able to get done.
Yeah,
You look at the contrast between this time and his first term. In his first term, I think he was learning the ropes of what Washington was.
I think he was also probably playing a better game of, okay, if I'm going to have re-election, I need to not be crazy off the bat. For some people, crazy, but for those of us who voted for him, we don't consider him crazy. We consider him to do exactly what we voted for.
Exactly. And the thing that I see is, I think when he first came in, the first term, he assumed everybody that worked for government was really into the transfer of power. And he later found out quite harshly that people wouldn't do their job, even though that's what they were supposed to do, regardless of who the leader was.
It really is a thing, and I started to look at, and I think, I'm trying to remember who it was, said something about, well, think of all the administrations, the previous administrations, and when they're out of office, what happens to all those people? They all don't looking for a job. They all end up somewhere with a job somewhere.
Yeah.
And I think one of the agencies, about 90% of them didn't report into their office ever.
Right.
So we're just spending money on this. It's insane. One of the biggest things, one of the best pieces of news I heard this week was listening to Benjamin Netanyahu say, America is now once again the strongest ally and supporter of Israel.
Makes a big difference, and you can see just from Trump's his stance on things. He is pro-America first, pro-Israel second.
Yeah.
And I was excited. Before he was trying to work a two-state solution out between the Palestinians or the Gazans or the people that occupied that area, the Arabs. And he was trying to work a deal out with them, and now it's actually kind of gone the other way, which has really impressed me. And he wants to give Gaza back to Israel, or America control it, and wants all the people that live there to assimilate into the Arab countries.
Well, if you look at the Arab countries around, the Arab Muslim countries surrounding Israel, they have more land mass than just about anybody around, and it's not crowded at all.
No.
And these people who are living in Gaza, there's no such thing as a Palestinian.
No.
The people who are living in Gaza are really people who migrated out of those Arab countries and have settled in Gaza. And actually, many of them settled in Israel, and many of them still choose to live in Israel.
Yes.
And they choose to live in peace in Israel, and they love their country of Israel.
Absolutely. I see more and more of those videos all the time. And then I realize as you watch one video, the algorithm wants to give you more of what you're watching. But there's a lot of people that really love Israel, and they actually brought freedom to that area because the other is so repressive and suppressive.
And I'm not talking just Jewish people. These are Arabs that are saying, I choose to peacefully live in Israel. It's the best it's ever been since Israel's come.
It's kind of funny. You were talking about those people that they're not from that area. They're from. There was a young lady who did a 23andMe. And she did a DNA test to see where she came from, and she was upset because she was from Palestine, is what she said. And she said, my ancestry did not show Palestinian in here at all. It was all Arabian, out of Saudi Arabia.
I wonder why.
So she thinks that 23andMe is now racist because they don't have Palestine.
Well, Palestinian isn't a race.
No.
It's a made-up name for a section of country that
given by Rome.
Yeah, the Roman general who was so mad, I believe it was at Bar Kokhba, the Bar Kokhba revolt. He was so mad at Bar Kokhba and the way that they were able to hold off, he decided to call the land after the mortal enemy of Israel, which was Philistina, and that translates into Palestine, into the English language. And so it's not even a real place.
Oh, exactly. And then you've got so much convoluted hand down history that's not true, and we even see that in our nation.
Oh,
you know, we talk about the Indians and how we took the land from them. You know, if you really get down and look at it, we purchased land from in this area from other countries.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And even California and all that was bought with money.
Where was the Louisiana Purchase?
Yeah.
Was that French, right?
Yeah. Yeah. We bought that from the French. You know, they want to act like we stole this land.
Yeah.
Well, we bought it from the French. We bought it from Mexico. You know, there was conquest, but they don't tell you all that stuff in school. You know,
one of my favorite things that they talk about that though, when they say, okay, you need to give it back to the rightful person. Okay, who was it? Was it the Cherokee, or was it because that they came in and dismantled the Obanauki or whatever they are, and they all fought within each other
and took
there
over
is
terrorists.
no land on the globe that has not been taken by somebody else at some time.
Yep.
It's always a battle, tribal, national, whatever. It's always a battle.
You know, and I saw one girl. I mean, these people are so uneducated; it's unbelievable. It might have been Sonny Hostin. Well, this country is such a violent country. We took everything by violence. Well, what do you think every piece of land in the whole world's been taken by?
Yeah, yeah.
Do you think the Muslims are not violent in taking over land?
Well, you know, no,
tell you what,
not so much. You know what the difference is that
ask England in a couple of years.
Yeah, well, and the difference between Muslim conquest and Christian conquest, in my opinion, if you look at it, if you look at what the Quran tells them to do, is that the women and children remain alive, and the women are to be abused.
Yes. To
produce more Muslim children.
Exactly. More or less a slave.
Yeah. They're slaves. Mm-hmm. It's ridiculous, and to think that you want to call that the religion of peace is out of this world.
But every piece of land in this world has been fought over.
Yeah,
it's not America came in and we just took a big broom and pushed everybody off this land. It didn't happen that way.
You mean the native tribes weren't singing "Kumbaya" around a campfire together?
It sounds like it would work. You know, they were so in touch with the nature. You know, they could speak that's a bunch of rubbish.
Yeah,
it's absolutely terrible.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and then look at this next thing when Trump and Netanyahu had their press conference. So now we're going to have the Gaza Riviera.
That is fantastic. I saw a picture. It has the face of Gaza right now, which is a rubble.
Yeah.
And then there's this big Trump Tower sitting in front of it. And then in front of that is Elon Musk has his Cybertruck there, you know. And so, you know, Trump says, I'm going to make this in the Riviera. And I think what he's saying is he wants to rebuild it, and he wants it to be something profitable.
A destination.
Yeah.
A destination. And there's no reason that the Gaza area, really, with its beaches and climate, could be a destination.
Well, absolutely.
You got to get rid of the jihadists.
Yeah, that's the harder part.
You know, so it's interesting though. But the best thing about that is, I don't even know if he really wants to own it, but he said we'll take it, and he instantly made every country in the world want Gaza.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You know, before Egypt, take Gaza. No. Well, we're going to make it the most beautiful place. Well, maybe we'll like to have that, they say, you know. And he with his artful working in business, art of the deal, he is single-handedly, I think, in a lot of cases, changing the way governments will do business.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's amazing to me how much influence and control he has figured out. He's even going after BRICS.
Yeah,
and he's saying, you know, if you abandon the dollar, then this isn't going to happen. And now you got people going, well, I don't know. If
all your treaties are done. Well, all your trade agreements are done, where it's all negotiated in dollars. And if you're going to abandon it, then we don't have an agreement anymore.
Yep. People are just falling in place now.
He is very wise. Yep. I think the other thing he's good at doing is hiring the right people for the right jobs. Yep. he may not be the smartest economist, but he'll find the smartest economist and hire him.
Yeah.
And he's always been good at placing people in positions they belong.
It's kind of interesting you say that. I watched a little clip. You know how people want to always say that he's a white supremacist, he's a racist and stuff like that.
Yeah.
There was a young lady in the media pool that asked him a very intelligent question. And he says, wow, he says, that's a really good question. You're really smart. Are you really a reporter? And she says, well, I like to do interior design. He says, well, come up here. I may hire you to do and it's a black young lady. and he's putting his arm around her, telling how smart and wonderful she was. And I think he ended up hiring her to redo that area.
Yeah.
He was, you just see he's a genuine person.
Yeah, he truly is. He is, in my opinion, a true capitalist at heart. I don't care if you're purple. If we can make this work better and make money at it, I'm going to hire you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I can't think of any capitalist who wouldn't sell their wares to anybody who wanted to buy them.
Yeah, so it's an interesting watching him work, especially you remember there was we're going to send 2 plane loads of people to Colombia. Colombia says that ain't going to happen. Then what was that? 24 hours later, where would you like them to land? Do you want me to send my presidential jet from Colombia to pick them up? What do you want them to be? And then we see this battle with Mexico and Canada.
Yep.
And we see that Trump said, nope, on the 1st, the tariffs are coming.
Yep.
And they went into effect.
And they're going to double.
And within a matter of hours, Mexico said, nope, we'll take care of the border. And so those were put on hold. And then Canada said, nope, we're going to double down. We're going to tariff you. And I loved Trump's responses, double it.
Yep.
So double it and give it to the next person. And I think Trudeau is like a child at the grown-up table trying to negotiate.
I watched a video where a guy was going through the store and going, "Made in Canada, There's nothing made in Canada."
I don't think I've purchased anything that's made in Canada. And to really think that they're going to go dollar for dollar, or I'm sorry, loony for dollar, with America is ridiculous. They could not buy anything American, and it would not change outcome on America at all.
That's true. I believe that 100%.
And if we stop purchasing things from them, they'd go under.
Yeah.
If we could quit subsidizing them, they'd be a third world country, hostile takeover from Russia or somebody.
Yep.
So it's a silly thing for them to try and fight us on this, and it's all for show. They know that they're not going to be able to do anything.
Now, I've seen another Central American country has offered to take all of our prisoners.
Ecuador, right?
Ecuador, I think. Yeah. And they said, send us all. We don't care what nationality you are. Send all your bad people to us, and we'll house them for you.
Yeah.
It's just amazing how Trump has the ability. He's worked with Canada, Mexico, Colombia.
So do you think that Ecuador is wanting that because they want to house them because they think there'll be a housing allowance and they know America's good for the bill?
Probably so. I'm sure that Trump would be very happy for them to do something of that nature.
I don't want to pay for their housing. I want them to go back where they came from and let their own country deal with it.
I think this is like the MS-13 people and the horrible, violent criminals. My fear is, he rounded up a bunch in Colorado, Lower Colorado. I think they
were taking over an apartment complex.
And I think they went in there and got like 15 or 20 of these guys and round them up. And my fear is you could release them in their country, but I don't think you could keep them. I don't think their country can keep them there. You know what I mean? And they would just be coming back over. So
that would be a tough order. But it's interesting to see him go around and handle business because that things happen quickly because he's made a decision. This is what's going to happen, and I'm not going to wait for you to have committees and all this. No, this is how it's going to be.
And I think that you see this perfectly. We see our own government and how horribly non-transparent it has been.
Oh, man.
And the things that he's come in instantly and said, hey, we have this Doge department now. And I tell you what, he's just let the strings go. And it's amazing what we're finding out about this former government. And that includes Republicans and Democrats.
Yeah. Remember, I've said several times, I used to be under the impression that if they had an R beside their name, they were not corrupt.
Yeah.
That was a lie.
Yeah, absolute lie.
There might be a handful of the whole thing that might not be corrupt, but the rest of them are out there.
I could even say you might have a good Democrat and a good Republican, but most of them, both sides are on the same team.
Well, look at if you want to just see real corruption. I mean, here's the most recent, youngest thing. We got AOC.
Yeah.
Making $155,000 a year, complaining that it's not enough money to buy an apartment in D.C.
Right.
All of a sudden, she's been there, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 years maybe. Now she's worth $29 million.
Yeah, how did that happen? Where did that money come from? Who's giving her that money? Because she can't be making it at $150,000 a year.
Well, and then you see the terrified group of people who are calling, well, you can't have Elon Musk, an unelected dictator. Well, no, he wasn't elected. We're not saying that he's a dictator. The guy we elected who ran on the fact that he said, I'm going to put somebody like Elon Musk in charge of checking out the efficiency of government. And we voted for him when he said that.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, we wanted that.
Well, you're looking at a guy that came into Twitter, bought Twitter for an exorbitant amount of money, more than it was probably worth.
Oh, yeah.
But it restored more free speech than what we had before on media. And he cut the workforce by 80%, and no one even can see a difference.
Nope.
It's still junk.
Yeah.
But at least it's costing 80% less to run it.
Yeah. Well, he's a successful person.
Yeah.
In business, he's a smart man. AOC was questioning his level of intelligence. I mean, come on, a bartender.
Yeah.
Talking to the richest man in the world.
I've heard her say some absolute ridiculous
I don't understand how she keeps getting votes. We'll just put it that way. But, Elon has come in and done exactly what Trump asked him to do.
Yes. Yep.
And to watch the list of Democrats sitting outside of the USAID building, crying to get in there when they were told, nope, it's closed,
Yep.
was pretty humorous.
You know what I really like is we were promised by, I think it was Levitt, the new press secretary, that this is going to be the most transparent government ever. And you know what, I can't help but notice that every time Elon uncovers something, it's posted for everybody to see.
Yeah.
There is a list compiled of all this nonsense our money's been going to.
Yeah.
For years.
But this is a new precedent, in my opinion, to look at this type of transparency.
Yes.
But the other new precedent in this is watching what we would call those with Trump derangement syndrome.
Yeah.
And so they're angry at the spending that's uncovered, but they're more angry at the man who uncovered the spending than they are about the spending.
Yeah. That tells you a lot, though. That tells you that this is a honeypot for people of all places. And, I've got a huge list. I know you've got a list, too, of all this money that was given.
Yeah.
How do we even know that money made it to where it is earmarked and not to somebody's pocket?
Well, I think that it made it to pockets. I do. And I think that what we started to see with the Biden administration and the Biden family and Zelensky in Ukraine, I think we started to finally come around and find out how many things that our government is funding that are just funding it so that the money can come on the back end into the coffers of the Democrat Party or the Republican who's corrupt or whoever it is, and line their own personal pockets.
Well, I agree 100%. And back when I was young, we used to call this money laundering.
Yeah.
We would take money from here, send it to here, and then it comes back from a completely different place. So you're not, quote unquote, getting the money from the fund.
Yeah.
The fund's paying them, and they just happen to be paying you.
Yeah.
So, we're laundering money.
Well, it's like, hey, I'll give you $1 billion, just send me back $200 million.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that's really what it is. And you start looking at some of these things that they uncovered. I just, one of the things I think I heard was $20 million for a Sesame Street show.
Yes.
in Gaza or
in Iraq.
Iraq.
Yep.
Sesame Street in Iraq.
Now, I have a question, and this is kind of an interesting thing. I saw a little thing on TikToks or whatever, and the guy says, here I am in Nigeria, and he's showing pictures of mud huts, and he says, I don't find these here. And he turns the camera around, and they have this huge city.
Yeah.
And nations are more developed than you ever really realize. Now, there are people that live in little mud huts over here, but in Iraq, how many people have a TV? How many people can even tune into a session? Did they even ask for it?
No, they didn't. It was just like $1.5 million to advance diversity, equity, and inclusion in Serbia's workplaces.
Yeah.
What do we care about Serbia's workplaces?
Yeah, nothing.
What has that got to do with me? Why am I sending $1.5 million over there for that?
A lot of people are struggling to put food on the table in this economy, and we're sending our money like, this is the one that gets me. $20 million to strengthening transparency and accountability through investigative reporting. And that was used in order to promulgate Russiagate and the impeachment of Trump during Russiagate.
Well, we just use the taxpayers' money to do what we want to do to prosecute our political opponents.
Exactly. And that wasn't transparency and accountability because they made everything up.
Yeah.
And they couldn't pin it on him, and now we know it's a farce.
What about this one? $47,000 for a transgender opera in Colombia.
Yeah. Unreal that money is going out there. And then they were worried that we wouldn't pay our taxes, and they're going to hire
they hired
80-some thousand IRS agents to chase us down so I can fund a homosexual show.
$70,000 for the production of a DEI musical in Ireland. I want to know where to apply for some of this money because I got some crazy ideas that have absolutely no results to show for them, so I wouldn't be tested if I completed it. Just send me the money. I'll take care of it. Here's
another one. $1.5 million for art for inclusion of people with disabilities. What is going on?
Well, I mean, and here's the next thing. This is a lot of meddling in other countries. The $600,000 to fund technical assistance for family planning in Latin America. Why are we even talking about family planning in Latin America? This has absolutely nothing to do with the United States of America or the taxpayer.
I think what's really happening here is, like you said, we are like Soros.
Yeah.
In the fact that we're buying people in these countries to tote our line.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Now, that line is not the line of the American people.
No.
This is for the rich and powerful to maintain their money flow coming in.
Yes, without a doubt. In fact, I believe one of the presidents of one of the smaller countries said, for those of you who think that our countries are in pain and turmoil that this USAID has been shut down, we actually are not. We're thrilled that this has happened because your country on its face tells us they want democracy and they want to help us promote democracy. But USAID comes into our country and on the back end actually does counter actions against everything you're talking about.
Yeah. And the other thing that I see in this long list of stuff is Planned Parenthood, promotion of homosexuality, promotion of transgenderism, promotion of everything that's evil and terrible in this world.
Yeah.
And we're moving it into countries.
We're trying to make the world accept it just like we're trying to force it down the American people.
It's one of those things of if we can get everybody to okay it and want it, then it's not sin anymore.
It's not sin anymore. Yeah. Well, I hate to tell you this. If the Bible calls it sin, it's still sin.
Yeah. No matter what consensus is. You can get everybody in the world to tell you that murder's okay, but that doesn't make it okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's really interesting, though. But what you can see is that we're moving toward more and more chaos, more and more evil, more and more. I mean, it's the travail. It's the birthing pains coming closer and closer together. And it's just like they say, the perilous times are coming.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And something else I see, and I don't want anybody to misunderstand me at all. I think that President Trump is doing a phenomenal job.
Yeah.
And I think that he is not the Antichrist.
No.
But look at how the world gravitates to a real leader.
Yeah.
And how a real leader has such influence all over the world. And then when the Antichrist comes in play
Yeah.
and offers a solution, your quote that you always like from Spock,
Yeah.
and he says, it doesn't matter if he's a good man or a bad man, we're going to follow him.
If he'll fix our economy, we'll follow him.
Exactly. And I see that. I see that setup.
And really, that's where we're at today. That's what we were discussing just before the show started, how the world is being set up exactly as it needs to be set up for an Antichrist to come.
Digital currencies, one world together, togetherness around the world. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't be friends with other countries, but
One world religion.
Yeah, there's always been a thing if two religions would merge, which they could.
Yeah.
That would be in most of the world.
Yeah.
And that would be like the Muslim and Catholicism.
Chrislam.
And what's interesting is the Muslims love Mary too.
Oh, yeah.
In fact, they pray to Mary and they have visions of Mary. Yep. And Mary is very important to them.
Well, they're both mother offspring religions.
Yes.
That go clear back to, in my opinion, Nimrod.
Yes, absolutely. Semiramis and Tammuz.
Yeah. So it's really a regurgitation of the pagan things from a long time ago.
Absolutely, and I think that was Tale of Two Babylons, where he really outlines this, and you talk about a book that's footnoted to the nth degree as his book.
Yeah.
And he shows the mother-son religion that came from Nimrod, Semiramis, and Tammuz out of Babylon, and how it's infiltrated everything.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And prayer beads, everything could all come from that.
It's nothing new.
No.
Under the sun. It's anything to distract from God.
Yep. And I think these UFOs people are talking about, and these aliens, one lady says, well, I communicate telepathically with angels and aliens. And so now she's putting that they both exist.
Yeah.
And it's interesting times we live in.
It is. But you know what? We have hope in Jesus Christ. I have hope the rapture's happening soon.
Yes.
And I rest in that I know I won't have to go through this evil time called the tribulation or the great tribulation.
Yeah, and the other thing I rest in is God is in control.
Yeah.
No matter what, God is in control.
Yeah. The promises of God are yes and amen. They'll happen exactly like the Bible tells us.
Amen.
Thanks for joining us this week. We'll see you next.